Hello, everybody, and welcome along to Unseen Mittens recaps REL 1 and 2A. I'm Steakmittens, and I'm here with Unseen Walker, special guest, to take the place of Shadora. We even have a video instead of an ogre face, like normally happens with guests.
Hello.
Yeah, Shadora is super busy with some work stuff. It's all very boring business stuff, from what I understand, but he's just super busy and couldn't make it, so Unseen Walker was gracious enough to join me for this. The plan was
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The plan was initially to look at Unseen Walker's game because I was told that it was interesting to watch, but then Shadora had to bow out, and I don't think it would be super good to watch his own game on stream. That sounds not pleasant to me, so I decided not to do that one.
Yeah, I already talked about it enough, I think, when I streamed it.
Yeah,
and it was a fun match, but I did mess up a lot. I've been messing up a lot my defense lately. I don't know why. So I prefer not to talk about that.
No, it's fair. It's also weird, especially if you streamed it, you already talked about it, so doing it again seems silly. So we went through and we did a REL 1 game last week, so we figured we'd do a 2B game this week. We looked at ones that looked relatively interesting, and what was interesting to me was Urs and Our Name is Legion. So that's the Lackland Long Tongues and Talk Show Terror. We've got some Lizards and Necro that we
Urs has been hanging around the top divisions for a while now. He was also with us on REL 1, right? For season before the last.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of teams that, like me, apparently, that now like to bounce up and down between the top couple divs. And I forgot to mention because my whole thing is off right now. But this is week 3. So we'll be, we're watching a game from week 2. We'll predict the results from week 3, and we'll look at the results from week 2. And that's the goal for today. So do we have any other intro things you want to talk about or promote or whatever before we just go to the game?
Not much, probably. I like Urs. He's a nice player. I think I played him 3 times already, if I remember correctly. But he has been struggling all those seasons for a while now. So hopefully he can do something this season, but looks like he's still having a rough time.
Yeah, I've recapped him a couple times, and it's his... the sort of theme of his Lizards was the Saurus could never quite really get there. For the last 2 seasons, he's been trying to rebuild the Saurus because they keep dying. So there's been 1 or 2 solid ones, and then a lot of rookies that he's kind of churning through. But he's had really good skinks. So he's had some success with just sort of 2-turning a lot because he has really good skinks to be able to do that. There's the Agi skink and the movement one.
He has a couple of good ones. Definitely helps out, and the having the couple of break tackle Saurus ones also helps out a lot, I believe.
Yeah, but and I haven't seen Our Name is Legion play before, I don't think, so I'm looking forward. I think this is a good opportunity to check that out, as well as see a coach that we haven't seen too often, and it's a matchup that we don't see super often in sort of REL 1, REL 2. Do you want to just get going and see how this turns out?
Yeah, probably.
All right, I'll count down and then just hit play. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So looking at the Necro, they have a nice golem with the plus strength and guard.
Yeah, and a nice wolf, but also a rookie wolf.
A nice wolf, yeah. But it's kind of a little bit of an underdeveloped Necro. I feel even we're talking about Ors not being able to develop his team that much as of late. But still, the Necro looks way underdeveloped comparing it to the Lizards.
And then the Lizards are also coming back quite a bit. So he had you can see there's 2-3 Saurus that have a bunch of skills, and then there's one with block tackle, one with block, and one with nothing. Those 3 have been sort of in the works for a while, but as of the start of this season, he's pretty much only really missing block on that 1 rookie Saurus, and things are probably pretty good.
Quick touchback.
He does have a new Croxagore as well, 0 SBP.
I'm on the ground side of the pitch.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I always like to do the chase cam because it's easier for me to
you can look at it whichever way you want because it's just going to show from my screen.
Yeah, that's true.
So the Necro are on offense first, and they're giving the ball to that rookie Wolf, which I think makes sense because one, you can try to level him, and two, the Claw Mighty Blow Tackle Wolf is kind of going to be your blitzer to the best of your ability for most of this.
Did he lose a wolf recently, or
it looks like it. That wolf has 0 SPP, so
But was it like that from the start of the season?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I mean, I can certainly go look.
Should probably have REBBL.net.
No, he's I think he's had him from the start. He just hasn't managed to do much with him, unfortunately.
Okay.
His first game was against Das Schuttenheim's Orcs, and it was just a 1-0 for Das Schuttenheim. Like the Orcs kind of bullying the underdeveloped Necro because that's a huge Orc team. And then this is week 2, so it's this this is only the second game of the season for him, so he hasn't really had much opportunity to try and get anything done with him.
It's kind of tough because like if things get a little bit like hairy, you want the ball to be on the other wolf, probably.
Yeah, it's hard because you get that with like Nerva Warriors in my case or whatever, where you want to level a particular one, or like maybe the Pestigore or whatever, but if you're in even a little bit of a dangerous situation, you need to keep it on the more reliable guy if you want to win. So you have to make that choice sometimes, and it can make it leveling certain players slow.
Yeah.
Just a push on the good wolf.
Looked like the wolf is completely new for this season.
Yep,
And he had one that was ball carrier kind of wolf before. But like kind of mixed with like tackle, sidestep, and blotch.
So the wolf is really good against the Saurus, right? Mighty Blow, Claw Block is pretty nice to go after the lizards, and lizards really hate having Saurus go down because they're so sort of valuable or important to the team. The problem is there isn't really a whole lot of guard other than that flesh golem, so it's going to be pretty easy to frenzy trap himself with that wolf if he isn't careful.
Yeah, it's tough to like get into a scrum against these lizards with the current state of the Necro.
He's gonna have to do a lot of sort of sniping with that wolf, probably going after more skinks than Saurus.
Yeah, I like that idea better. Just trying to get maybe 1 or 2 skinks out early, and then maybe you can start like contesting the Saurus with just like basing them with the zombies, and maybe trying to get something done with the big golem.
Yeah, there is the 2 break tackle Saurus, I think, or 1 2 break tackle Saurus, but so they can't be tied up that well. But the flesh golem, if you're on one of those, might make that a bit annoying. The wolf did knock down a skink, didn't break armor, and then failed the dodge out afterwards, so that's unfortunate. But
that's a good start. That's a good start to put in some pressure on.
Yeah, exactly. I think we can only really put pressure on with skinks right now. Oh, that's a big stun.
Can this wolf score? No, he's 1 away.
Yeah.
So no quick score for him.
Yeah, so that's the question, right? He could put himself in scoring range now, but he's with that stun flesh golem, that kind of sets himself up for getting a bunch of Saurus slammed into your cage very quickly. Yeah. The other option is to back off, and that might accomplish the same thing, so it's a hard choice.
Croc's being a little bit of a dummy there.
Yeah, well, he tried. He's a good boy. He's just not very good at it.
I think you just kind of like blitz that guy and then reposition a little bit back, because not you're gonna get slammed in by the Saurus next turn.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to screen them off with like those 2 zombies. Oh, hello. That's nice.
That's an injury. That's 1 down.
We managed to get the dodge out this time. So you can kind of do like you're gonna have to dedicate a lot of players to it, but yeah, you can use the zombies to sort of screen off the Saurus from getting into your cage and then making a cage. Right? So now the Saurus can't just sort of base stuff up other than the 2 out front.
Yeah, he needs to be careful that he doesn't get like super slamming into the sideline, because if not, he's gonna be in trouble with all the strength from the lizards.
And the sideline is actually, it's going to be a bit awkward.
I like that. I don't like the basing. I like the zombie moving there to do like a little bit of a screen. I don't know if I like the basing that much.
No, he's just going to get punched.
Yeah. Well, at least he just gets pushed. So that's good for him.
And the Croc's boneheaded, which is also nice for the Necro. Doesn't make a huge difference right now, but it's something. It does mean that there's only sort of 2 free lizards on this side to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do we go after the good wolf with that mighty blow tackle, Saurus? Because that seems like a pretty tempting target to me.
Yeah, I think that's probably the only. Well, it's not the only option, but it's the most logical option there.
You could also just go hit. You could hit the zombie and then just like probably get a bunch of bases up in there if you really wanted to put a lot of pressure on it, because you're more likely to knock down the zombie. But I think
I actually would have him to like follow up with that Soros, and then push the wolf into the other 2 Soros, so that they're like this. The wolf has to be forced into dodging away, because the zombies were not gonna be able to clear that 3 guys with the guard and everything.
So the Necro are kind of doing the Necro thing where they try to get you to commit to one side, and then rotate the other way because they're so speedy. Yeah, the wolf had sidestep, so he had to.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. That's true.
So he's kind of rotating around. The problem is this doesn't work as well against lizards as it does against other teams, because Saurus are really fast. Surprisingly, they're moving 6, which is
yeah. I don't understand why Saurus are moving 6.
Yeah, they're so good.
Such a fast team, lizards.
Yeah, surprisingly, like they're strong and fast, but they're like. But since the Saurus are so good, if you lose one, suddenly your team is in a lot worse of a position, just because you need to do a lot with them, and if you lose, your good skink, suddenly your ball handling is gone. So it's they're pretty vulnerable to like specific removals, not like necessarily all removals, but if you like remove the right skink or the right Saurus, you can make the game really hard for lizards.
Well, let me tell you, you should check out a little blog from for a Saurus in Division 3B that I've been recapping. It's called Avalanche, and he has Agiop, I think dodge, break tackle, and sure hands, and I don't know how many like ball carrier skill he has. It's pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh!
Basically, the only player that does anything on that team for some reason.
You get these like super players which just carry teams. We're gonna bring in a big foul on this boneheaded Crocs here.
Yeah, well, he's fine
so far. As long as that Croc stands up, that's going to be a lot of Necro players that aren't really capable of doing much, which is a little scary for the Necro.
If he's feeling a little bit spicy, he can even like blitz in and base the ball with the tail, and then mash in with the other Saurus.
Yeah, the problem is that the Crocs isn't block or anything really, so it's kind of scary to do so. We did go after the skink, and that puts a wolf both on the other side and in scoring range, so the lizards can't like ignore him, but you can make it pretty easy to make it difficult for the. That was a weird sentence. It's pretty easy to make it difficult to hand off to that wolf, if you know what I mean. The Saurus don't have to do too much to make that wolf not useful.
So he's gonna put diving tackle on the wolf now.
Yeah, it's basically, you have to blitz me now. Like, you have to blitz that skink. And he's blodge, so it's not free. And all of the players that are close, other than the ball carrier, are marked up on a Croxagore. So,
but he needs one Saurus to. I would have moved that Saurus to mark one of the forward zombies. Yeah, there's still a good shot for a 1D from the white. And it's not hard, it's just a 2+ to get that Croxagore.
Or even the zombie, because the zombie at the bottom has block.
Yeah. And now he can probably blitz the skink.
Or he actually might. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so now you can blitz the skink with the white. So you don't have to do it with the ball carrier.
The question here is, where does the wolf go?
Yep.
That works.
Hello. It's a big removal. That's a good skink.
Movement boss there.
Ooh, that's a big skink gone. We've got 2 of this team's strengths are really the skinks, and we've got 2 out already, which is pretty good for the Necro. Oh, well, we just failed a GFI though. Oh no,
that's Norwegian, so that white is out for the game. So.
Oh man, well. I say we get a removed skink, and then we remove a white, which is not really a trade I'd want to take. I think he was moving the white forward, said he could use it to try to screen off the wolf with that white and the other wolf who could dodge out. But it is worth noting that the Necro do have a wizard, so they have that available at some point.
Yeah, and a bribe too.
Yep.
Okay. If only that Crocs had break tackle, he could have blitzed the wolf. Well, he's gonna come in with the other lizard though, the other service.
Yeah. Doesn't even need to break tackle.
And was that guy the movement 5 guy? Yeah, he's the movement 5 guy. So, did he G5? He did, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was a way you could have done that, but it would have involved more GFIs to chain push the ball carrier onto the other Saurus if you only had a push, so you could do it again, but it's more dice because he's moving 5. But
yeah, and since it's just like a rookie wolf, you don't really need to do that much. I think.
No, I don't think it's worth the risk to try and get an extra block, and you're pretty likely.
If he
to
was
knock him down.
the other like wolf, maybe, but then he has sidestep, so it probably wouldn't have mattered.
Just trying to get removals. We're kind of giving up on the score right now. It looks like, considering this is turn 7, just seeing if we can get a removal on a Saurus here. And the answer is no, unfortunately. That white injuring himself is such a huge blow. Like, that mighty blow is good chasing down skinks. It's a block player, and Necro are so heavily reliant on positionals, especially when you don't have very many, like this Necro team does.
They started looking decent for the Necro at the beginning, but then they kind of like split up their team a little bit too much. And like the Golem and being bogged down on the left, and then the other Wolf trying to move forward for like being a scoring threat.
Yeah.
I don't think did them many favors, to be honest.
No, the Necro are very, super positional dependent, and this Necro team has one Flesh Golem, one good wolf, one rookie wolf, and one white, and the white going out brings you down to just a couple, which means it's a team of a lot of zombies, which is going to be difficult. The problem, thing is, the positionals he does have are very good. It's a very good wolf and a very good golem, but he's going to have to, have those two players just put their team on their backs and just carry them to victory.
And do that. Just injure players with claw.
Yeah. And there we go. Speaking of.
Yep. You could have seen some of that on my game too.
Isn't that Saurus, he's Agi 0 now.
It doesn't matter.
No.
He should be fine.
He'll be fine. But yeah, that's what you do here.
And you don't fire Saurus on this team either, so.
No. Well, he's already Agi 1. Like, the Agi bus isn't going to do anything. Oh no, Wolf Blitzer!
Wow.
Is that another failed regen?
Not getting a level.
Nope. Yeah. Oh man, I feel bad. He's tried so hard to... it's 2 games in a row where that guy has gone out before he could do anything.
Oh man, yeah, that's the worst. I remember for a while trying to level a runner. That just I think it was when my team was the worst.
I remember when you had 3 players.
Yeah, and my runner was completely new, and I had the second runner. Every time I tried to score with the rookie runner, he would get dived in, blitz. He would fail GFIs, everything. It was horrible.
Oh my god!
But then he died, and then the new one came over. And then he became the monster, so that's nice.
Such a pain to try to level some of those players. I've been trying to get 4 leveled Nurgle Warriors and 4 leveled Vestigors for so long, and anytime I get to 3, the new one dies, and then I have to go. Then I go back to 3 again. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's I've got my 3 leveled Pestigors. I'll buy my 4th rookie one, see if we can level him, and then one of the Pestigors dies, and now I have 2 rookies. I'm like, oh damn it.
Yeah, it's really for some, especially for some teams, really hard when you have such I guess vertical development instead of a wide development.
Yeah.
So you rely so hard on some of your best players that it's really, really tough to level the other guys.
Well, yeah, if you have a really good scorer and you need to use the really good ball carrier to score so you can win, he's going to do all the scoring, right? If you have one really good killer, he's going to do all the killing and get all the Kazas because you need them to do it. So one thing that Luke pointed out that is going to make this real awkward is this is now a team of zombies with 1 flesh golem and 1 werewolf.
Yeah,
We do have a
and
wizard, which is
the wolf
pretty
has to
good.
carry the ball, so
Yeah, it's the only Agi 3 on the team right now. The Necro do have a wizard, which might do something. But that wolf is going to have to do a lot of work.
and interestingly, he hasn't actually fouled at all, considering that he has a bribe.
He did on the Croxagore that one time.
Oh yeah, he did that one, yeah.
But we probably yeah, I mean, you'd like to see more, but you don't have that many opportunities to when you've been kind of under this much pressure the whole time. But with a bribe, you could probably just be doing no assist fouls and just hope.
If you have the shot on a good player, I think like no assist or one assist fouls are good with a bribe.
Yep.
If you don't have a bribe, you probably don't risk it, but with a bribe is pretty decent.
Yeah, until the bribe goes away, you just throw exclamation, like if you happen to get a removal on a Saurus or something, it would make such a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we 1-9'd the pickup, so we saved ourselves at least some blocks, no blitz, and one of the LOS hits didn't happen. Or two of them
that
didn't
could
happen.
help, like, because it's gonna be it can be tough to actually knock down this wolf.
Yeah.
So if he can get some good positioning and try to like get this Saurus stacked up, he could even get like a shot next turn to actually put some pressure on the ball and make it hard for the lizards.
Yeah, it depends on what we do with the zombies. We would have loved to get an armor break there, but nope.
Oh my god, all these zombies.
It's a team of zombies, man. So we have the break tackle Saurus, which is annoying, but he's also just movement 5. So he doesn't have that much movement.
There we go. There's the bribe. Well, kind of sucks that he was on the second one and it was just a stun, but at least he went for the foul there, so that's nice.
Yeah, here comes the foul.
Yeah, this guy is kind of far away, and he doesn't have tackle either. So it's tough to actually get that wolf down.
Yeah, there's the one tackle piece here. The two tackle pieces are marked up, and the other one, the one that has break tackle, is not marked, or doesn't have tackle. I mean,
up like that. That makes sense. Just caging up in the middle.
I think you're a little bit ahead of me.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. He's caging up in the middle now.
I'll pause for a second.
Yeah, just like 2. Yeah, just like we'll get the ball safe to the best of your abilities. So the way that you lose here is by like failing something early and then letting the wolf like roll some dice, like, you know, do the elf thing. Another regen failure is we're not doing too well in the regens for the Necro right now.
Okay. I think I'm still ahead. When you see the bonehead, let me know.
Okay, there's the bonehead.
Okay, cool. Now we should be fine now.
Oh, so, we could there. I was gonna say we have a shot on the ball here, and we're gonna take it because we can lightning bolt a cage corner and then blitz with the wolf. I'm surprised we went for the skink lightning bolt. I mean, I guess we're more likely to get a removal, so it's a bit like more risk reward kind of. But it means that the wolf, if you want to blitz with him, is gonna have to run around, which is a lot of movement.
Yeah, if he went on the Saurus, he could have like get a better like position to scatter. Well, I guess he has sidestep, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
at
least gives him more movement for the end of the turn.
Oof.
But didn't work out, so
yeah, that's unfortunate. And if we get the mighty blow hit from, or the lightning bolt hits on the skink, is another chance at getting a removal. So if we were super lucky that turn, we could have taken away all the skinks for the lizards. And that would suddenly, you know, then the wolf just has to pick up the ball and leave, and it doesn't matter that the rest of your team is zombies. The Saurus can't really do it.
Doesn't even matter if you get sacked after that.
No.
Like, as long as you can like move players, like even zombies can score, which is funny. Saurus have a hard time scoring. It can happen. It can happen, but at least zombies are better at scoring than Saurus. So.
Yeah, Agi 2 is better than Agi 1. Oh, hello.
Fails the dodge.
That's off tackle, so we're gonna have to reroll that one.
No, Urs, not like this, Urs.
Okay, he's good.
Oh, he went for another dodge.
That was a little scary.
I guess he had the dodge there because of the tackle before.
Oh, that's true. So yeah, like there was another, you know, it was the lightning bolt not working out means the lizards can just kind of go, and the Necro are gonna have a difficult time doing much about it with that wolf all stuck.
The golem can only base, right? Unless he dodges through.
Yeah, he'd have to
for
dodge.
blocks.
So he'd have to cut the corner of the Saurus to dodge through.
Yeah.
But the zombie, the wrestle zombie, could do it if we get the knockdown in the Saurus, right?
Yeah, that works out. But he went for the wrestle on the sword, so.
Well, he
Got it.
blocked with the block kick zombie first, and
Mhm.
it didn't work out either. So we could have gone for that with the wrestle zombie, which is a 2-die with wrestle, which is pretty good. Oh, hello.
Oh. Well, that definitely helps out for the next drive, since it's probably gonna be score here for the desserts.
Hey, we get to add to our army of zombies.
More zombies, yes.
And of course, it's the rookie Saurus that goes down.
Can we get our name is Legion to just delete his positionals and make this a team of zombies? Could we do that?
Well, the skink doesn't have to score here because
we play like super fit, like zombie inducement team.
Yeah, we just we buy the Nuffles altar and just induce like helmet every game.
Yeah.
Or I mean the wolf. What's his name?
Fuck.
Cheney.
Cheney, yeah. Cheney. You can also get like the air lice, although he's kind of
the ghoul.
Kind of weird. Yeah.
I've never seen that ghoul taken in my entire life.
I think I played it like against him like one time, but it was like on the earlier divisions.
Okay. Yeah, ear lice. There's a couple of players that you don't see too often. I saw both Hethark, the like bull centaur.
Actually, I know who actually used air lice against me.
Oh yeah,
and you know him because he was CR Boys on like my first season or like second season of REBBL.
Oh yeah, I do know CR Boys. He's in this div, right?
Yeah.
I saw last week. I saw both Hethark, the like bull centaur star player, and Ice Pelt, the Yeti star player. And I
actually like Ice Pelt.
So do I. You just don't see him very often, and I saw two players you don't see very often in the same week, which is pretty fun. He's good, but he's expensive, and Norse often have other things they want.
Yeah, trying to get the bribe and getting Boomer and other stuff before probably.
And often you want like a bench, and Ice Pelt is a very expensive way to get a bench. Well, the Lizards are under like zero pressure to score right now, but they do anyway.
So, looking at the teams, I guess it was. Yeah, okay, yeah. For some reason, for a second, I thought the Necro had one touchdown, but that's just me, being me. That could have been probably maybe a bad choice because he's losing Soros and like, and they're gonna be 1-1, but no, forget about what I'm saying.
Yeah,
don't listen to me, guys. That's a good advice.
I guess that's not too bad. I was gonna say like if you really want to win, you probably want to score here. But there was nothing the Necro could have done to stop that, so all they were going to do is just blitz Saurus every turn with the Claw Mighty Blow Wolf. And considering you just had a Saurus die, you probably want to try to avoid that. And you're giving your opponent, 4 turns? Which they can probably score in, but they probably can't score twice.
Yeah, and this gives more option for these Saurus to die too. Because he was a little bit on a better position.
Well, and now he's going to want to carry the ball on the Wolf, right? So the Wolf isn't going to be doing blitzing, so we don't get any Mighty Blow hits anymore.
Yeah, I guess it's better to just score there.
I think so. At first I was like, whoa, that seems early, but it makes a lot of sense. I probably would have considered stalling one more turn because I'd be a lot more comfortable with giving my opponent 3 turns than 4 turns, especially with a Wolf. Because if you failed the pickup with the Skinks or something, that Wolf could theoretically just like counter score, as we almost saw in the last drive.
Yeah, he could score in 2 turns and then try to sack the ball on and score in 2. Probably not easy, but doable with Wolves.
Yeah, and with some good dice. Whereas with three turns, it's probably not going to happen.
Although kind of hard with when you have an army of zombies instead of like whites and ghouls and other wolves and stuff like that.
I like how he has he's lost basically all of his positionals for this game, but he still has like a full team. He's down 1 player despite having lost if I told you like this Necro team is going to lose all of their positionals and still have 10 players in the second half, you'd be like, what? They had a lot of zombies, and they even got a free one.
How many zombies are on the pitch?
9 or 8?
7, 9, 8?
Because there's 10 players, there's one wolf and one flesh golem.
And there's another zombie out. 2 zombies out, actually.
Yeah, so 10 zombies. He almost has the full zombie team.
Yeah.
Although some of the zombies are loners. He just happened to get extra ones. And he probably induced some as well, I would imagine. Considering the...
let me check TV.
I see 3 loner zombies, but he still has 4 players out in a full team, so he would have had to buy at least one.
Oh, well, there goes a zombie.
Well, Sextus the Duster.
Wow, these regions though, like.
Oh man, I know this feeling. I went 1 for 5 regens in my game this week, so I understand.
Well, that's what you get for cheating instead of having an apple.
Yeah, I know, right? Sometimes they're just bad. Sometimes the regen just doesn't work.
He needs to get some classes from Travel Scrabble. Apparently he makes every region. Yeah. Really pissed me off last week because of that.
Just made everything, especially with that wolf. Like the one time I beat Travel Scrabble was because that wolf injured himself and didn't regen very early on, like the Agi 5 one. Yeah. And every other time I've lost just because that Agi 5 wolf is like, cool, I'm an Agi 5 wolf, see you later, and just like leaves.
Well, I'm kind of glad that well, a little bit of spoilers, but probably everyone knows already, but I tied him.
Yeah.
But the worst part is that I think I could have, if I did some things different, I could have actually won that game, which actually makes me a little bit salty.
I know the feeling.
He destroyed me the last time we played, but I didn't have a team, so I have that
excuse.
That excuse, yeah.
So
it's a good thing about that season that whenever I talk about playing anyone from that Div 1, I come like, but I didn't have a team, so it doesn't matter. I tied the biggest Norgal teams, and I didn't have a team, so I did quite well.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sort of in the same boat. Like somebody nominated me for the Wooden Spoon this season. They're like, he barely missed playoffs in Div 1 last season, and then this season he came last. I'm like, well, it killed my team to come to barely miss playoffs. I didn't have a team to start Div 1. I thought I did all right rebuilding it, considering what I had, but all right, cool. Wooden Spoon it is, I guess.
Well, people say you cannot rebuild in Div 1. That's a lie, guys. You can always do it.
Yeah, both of us did it. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm rebuilt, but I'm way better than I was at the start of last season.
And technically, T-Self kind of rebuilt one season, right? Although he did die again the next season, but even Pro Elves can do it.
All right, well, this looks... I mean, the Necro have gotten away from the Saurus. They're all knocked down, and the Necro are just going to score. There's nothing the Lizards can do. But the Lizards don't care, because they've won 2-1.
Another injury over here.
And...
okay, he's fine.
Oof. They're also not worried about the ball carry, because the wolf is carrying the ball, so they're not too worried about like claw mighty blow blitzes or anything. So the Lizards, I think, are kind of happy with the end of this game now.
Yeah, they're just trying to like run away so that they don't get hit as much as they can.
Pretty much.
Try to get a cheeky
croc splits.
Cast with the crocs. Ooh. Oh, boo.
Oh, we got the POW.
I guess he gets the... I probably wouldn't have actually a base there. Because it doesn't really make any difference if you make him... Well, I guess you get the +1 for TD differential. If you manage to let this wolf not score.
Yeah, and it's the best way you have of making the wolf not score, because you can't really make a screen with what you have. I mean, you can do... No, you can't. The wolf is too close.
Wolves are too fast for that.
If you wanted to stop this, I mean, what you would do is, instead of screening, you just you mark all the zombies with the Saurus, so the zombies can't blitz the crocs off, and you force the wolf to try to make the 4+, because prehensile tail. Because right now, he's just going to use all the zombies as assists, and then like 2-die blitz with the block zombie, and be like, cool, good enough. But if you marked a bunch of those zombies, that wouldn't have really worked, and you probably would have had to dodge. But here we go. Especially since the screen didn't do anything because you didn't go far enough over. Is this a screen?
It was just like, kind of like trying to like make a fake screen to like make him believe he cannot score or something. Maybe trying to trick the opponent.
More protecting the skinks than anything else.
Yeah, probably.
So that ends up being 2-1 to the Lackland Long Tongues for that week.
They took a little bit of damage on this though.
Yeah, dead rookie Saurus, who would have leveled too because he got MVP. That's awful. Oh man.
Minus movement skink, I think. What's the other one?
He's been trying to get a full, like, we even said at the start of the season, like, all he really needs is like block on that Saurus and maybe another guard somewhere, and he's probably good. And then he finally levels this rookie Saurus and then dies in the same game. I know the feeling. So, yeah,
my minus IG Saurus, Dev leveled up Saurus, and then minus movement skink. So even though they got the win, they actually came out a little bit.
Yeah, it cost them. Like Talk Show Terror certainly put up a fight for how poorly things went for them at some point. They certainly made it cost the Lizard something. For what it's worth, I predicted the Lizards would win. So did Shadora, and I think you did as well. Yeah, you did as well. Yeah.
I just clicked at random for those predictions. So.
Well, if it makes you feel better, you did as well.
Yes, I actually got all my predictions on 2A, even though I didn't know anything about 2A. So
yeah. So. All right, I'm gonna bring up. I'll just bring up REBBL.net to do the. I'll just bring up REBBL.net somewhere. Ideally, why can I not find it? There it is. So to look at the other results, we'll go back to Div 1, and we can just look at the results from Div 1. And then we'll do Div 2 and call it there. Okay. So first we had Volcano versus the Rat Bastards. That's Mongoose's Loose and his Chorfs versus Toast Guy's Rats. So two good coaches, one Super Bowl champ, one almost Super Bowl champ. So that could have been an interesting game. You predicted that Volcano would take it, and then Shador and I both predicted that the Rats would, and the Rats won this one.
They've been kind of bashy this season, the Rats. They definitely put a hurt on some of the teams so far.
And they put a hurt on the Chorfs too, right? The Chorfs got 30 blocks and the Rats got 26. Like, that's not really how you'd expect those numbers to break down typically.
Mm-hmm. A guard Chorf died.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't one of the really good Chorfs, but it was still a Chorf, and leveled Chorfs are kind of important. 3 Hobgoblins injured as well. So the Rats putting a bit of a hurt on the Chorfs there.
Yeah, thankfully they kind of landed on the pieces that he would have liked to actually get injured instead of the rest of the team. So
yeah, I mean, if you said pick 4 players from this team that have to take an injury, those are the 4 you'd pick, because
exactly.
But it's I mean, 4 injuries against Rats is still not what you expect. The guard line Rat taking a badly hurt doesn't really matter, but that probably would have not helped during the game. MVP on a gutter runner, and the TD coming from the strength 4 or the strength 3 gutter runner. And number of KOs and Cavs from both sides.
Not much important SPP either in this match, because more teams are now pretty developed on Div 1, so it doesn't really change much week from week.
Nope, and that's why we decided this season to not look at the teams as we last
makes sense.
Yeah, last season's recaps and stuff every other week we'd look at the teams, but especially in the top divs, they don't change super often unless someone dies, and we notice when they die because we look at the game results. So next we had Beard to Death, Larkstar versus Lucius and Big Chuck. I had predicted that Big Chuck would win.
Wow.
Shadora predicted that Beard to Death would win, and you predicted that Beard to Death would win.
What happened here, Chuck? What?
Wow.
The nurse really put the heart on the poor Chaos.
And they
probably
tied.
would think that was gonna be the other way around.
Wow. Yeah, well they tied. So either something went either very well for Big Chuck or very wrong for Larkstar, I think, to let that end up with that kind of, or being a tie with that kind of removals, and no points for anybody. But yeah, badly hurt Warrior, dead Beastman, movement busted Beastman. Oh my gosh. That's a dead Claw Mighty Blow Block Warrior, which is annoying because now he's at 2 rookies. It's a dead Killer Blitzer, which is annoying because those are difficult to get going again.
When do I play Chuck? I'm liking this. Sorry, Chuck, but this is good news for me. But I think I played you like pretty late on the season, anyways.
Apparently, Larkstar didn't push for the win when he had the advantage, so that's certainly a thing that some people can do or like will do. He did induce Boomer. Boomer didn't do a ton though, but like the Yeti got 2 Kaz, the Ulf got a Kaz, the Berserker got a Kaz. That's what 3 of 7. So the Norse inflicted 4 Kaz and the Chaos took 8. So either there's a bunch of fouling as well, or like some failed dodges or something. But either way, what a rough game for Chuck. I feel bad.
And it was only 40 blocks to 35, so not even like that big discrepancy on like blocks.
Yeah, and with that many blocks and there being armor 7 and you being armored 9 and having Mighty Blow and stuff, you'd expect the removals to be a bit more even, but it's like they didn't go that way.
50% armor for Chuck.
That is really unfortunate. And I mean, Big Chuck managing to get a draw out of it is something, but I mean, it's hard to tell someone to feel good about. At least you drew when this happens to your team. Oh man.
That's definitely like the bond to pick the Beastman's a really big like
huge loss.
A huge loss there. The rest is not that bad, but that one definitely hurts a lot.
And the Chaos Warrior hurts, but maybe a little bit less. We had Broken Bone Battalion, Super Base, and Bogue Bombers from B-Dog. So this had already happened by the time we did our recap last week. So I didn't actually predict it, but Shadora did, I believe. Shadora predicted that the Bogue Bombers would take it, and he was correct.
My God, B-Dog. I love you, B-Dog. I love you.
Yeah.
Like I always get like all time last season. I would be amazed like how many games that look kind of like bad for him. Like he takes every game. Like he plays so well. It's really amazing. I really like his human team.
I'll have to watch it. I wasn't familiar with him before this season, and I think I'll have to watch one of those games then. The human team looks great too. Like
he probably hates me because I just barely took his one of the playoff spots last season.
Oh no!
Like he was top of the division like all the season, and then just at the end he ended up like falling down, and then he had that tiebreaker game with Finney. So to see who would go to challengers.
I like the ogre named Fudge. That's just a good name for an ogre.
Don't get too close to that ogre because he's probably gonna die soon because his ogres die all the time.
I mean, it's a really good looking human team too. For like there's a lot of good levels there. Anyway, so yeah, B-Dog getting 42 blocks to the 30 of the Broken Bone Battalion, and that resulted in 21 armor breaks compared to 2. So a lot of stuns from the humans.
Actually.
a lot of KOs, but a lot of stuns. I mean, 5 KOs. If those KOs didn't come back, is going to be a pretty big death sentence for a team that only has 11 players.
Looks like dice were pretty decent either way for the elves, but just basically, I'm guessing the armor breaks were a little bit too much.
Yeah, one of those games where you can't elf. If you take the elves away, they can't elf very hard, and it looks like that's what. No permanent damage. The injuries were both badly hurts, but two badly hurts and 5 KOs is 7 elves, and you only have 11. There's not really much you can really do after that. Plus all the stuns, probably made it pretty well in control of B-Dog, and I imagine he just defended his drive or defended the elf drive and then scored on his own.
He's still like getting close to leveling some players now, so the team's even gonna get better. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a really good human team. Like I expect it to do well, certainly. Human teams kind of have to be a little unfair, I think, if you to do really well in the high divisions, like a couple stats or whatever. And he's got some, and nobody has died. Like it's all of his players are developed, which is pretty great. We have Dreams of Golden Stream, Superfed, and Dazed and Confused from Acropolis. We actually watched this game live as part of the recap last week because it happened.
I remember. Yes.
Yeah, it happened to be playing while we were doing the recap, so we figured we would just make that our game from last week. It kind of went exactly as you expected. I mean, Rats versus Nurgle, where the Nurgle have one tackle, is just going to be a sad time for the Nurgle. I mean, frankly, we did cast it, so if you want to watch the whole thing, go back and watch the previous YouTube video. But basically, what happened is Acropolis didn't really respect the rat speed on his first 2 turns or so, which was his offensive drive. And he kind of threw a bunch of players forward to try to get damage on the rats, which makes sense because you want to hurt them, but he didn't quite protect his ball well enough, and the rats kind of just ran around him and then took advantage of splitting up his team and scored early. And then from that point, it was pretty much just downhill. The rats are up 1-0 on your drive, and all they really have to do now is run away from you, and they just kind of did rat things while Acropolis couldn't really do much about it from that point forward. But
yeah, position is really important against rats. You have to keep your team pretty together, because if not, they just rain all over the pitch. They can do whatever they want to do,
especially since you don't really have a lot of you only had 1 tackle, so if you didn't get crazy removals pretty early on, your positioning just has to be perfect, or else the rats can do whatever they want. And so an early mistake, I think, made it
apart from the beast, really nothing on this team to actually contend against rats.
No. We both predicted, me and Shadora both predicted Superfed, because I mean, it's a good rat team versus a Nurgle team without tackle. You would be crazy to predict otherwise. I don't think you you didn't have a prediction in for that one.
I predicted way too late.
So for the predictions, by the way, Shadora and I have both sort of taken up the mantle of attempting to get our predictions in before the recap. We are going to allow ourselves to change them during the recap if we feel like our discussion has changed our minds, but the point is we want to try to avoid the situations where people have played before we predict, so at least we have something in there.
Makes sense, especially with Superfed in Division 1.
Who plays early specifically to get in before we predict. That's why he does it. And then we had Fellow Squadadol, Not for Science versus Luminous and the Gourmet Governors. So Lumi is in chat. You can probably tell us a little bit about what happened. But for reference, I didn't predict this one because it already happened.
I think I saw a little bit of this match on Lumi's stream. I think he got some of the match control for a while, but then I don't remember quite. But maybe I'm confusing it with another match.
I mean, if you wanted me to look at this match report and tell you what happened, I would just highlight this and then say we're done here, which is Tanari, the natural one-turner, scored twice. So, no matter really, the vampires do well in the first half. They get their touchdown on Dumpling, and then a couple one-turns, or hard to defend against touchdowns, because it's very hard to defend against a natural one-turner.
When you look at your block succeeded, it's 47, and then the stats under that 0 KOs, 0 injuries, and 0 kills.
Yeah, so
oops.
47 blocks, and then he gave 0 KOs, 0 Kaz. Yeah. Whereas he sustained 4 KOs and 4 Kaz. I mean, some of them might have been from bites, but I mean, also Lord Nathaniel Marr is pretty darn good at chasing down thralls, armor 7 versus the high movement, tackle, mighty blow, piling on, jump up, juggernaut. That's hard to avoid. So Lumi says that the first half was pretty much all Vamps, stole and scored, because Vamps are good at defense. That's kind of what they do. Eventually, the fact that he couldn't remove any elves, so then the elves the removals caught up. Right, the elves removed a couple thralls. Vampires couldn't get any removals of their own. Then there was a good cage dive, a successful cage dive, I should say. From
I think I saw some of those half dives that were thrown.
Fellow Squadadol, and then a snake from Lumi as well. So Fellow Squadadol certainly playing it well and playing risky and having it pay off for them. But sometimes Vamps vamp, sadly, and they fail things occasionally, and then you're sad because that's how vampires work.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard for bands to actually control the elves.
For sure.
You can get some good plays with Hypno games and stuff like that, but it's not that easy to actually control them. So they have a little bit more open space to do what they want to do and follow their gameplay.
Yeah, especially with the leap guard player and the leap wrestle player. We can do some sacks. The natural one turner is something you can always fall back on if you have to. the good human blitzer probably could do quite a bit of work against thralls. He only got 1 Kaz, but I imagine he got a couple KOs, considering there's some KO sustained as well.
Oh no.
Then we have your game, Travel Scrabble and Ragedorf. I don't remember what I predicted for this. I think we predicted differently, if I recall correctly. I think I predicted. Where is it? I predicted me. I predicted you, and Shadora predicted. Travel Scrabble. So, I mean, you can tell us briefly, I guess, about this game because you were there, just briefly.
I don't know. I just didn't feel like I played my defensive drive that well. It was a pretty even game, and then I just like made a couple of mistakes that let him go forward, and I couldn't like. I split up my team a little bit too much on the defensive drive, and then like a stupid GFI ended up knocking out a Dorf, so he could like, instead of me actually doing 2 GFIs, I could have done 1 GFI there, and then he got the wolf out, where I could have actually stopped that score pretty easily, I think, but I just didn't play it correctly. And then the second half was a little bit more like me pushing forward, and then some of his players getting removed. So
yeah, you gotta Hull the Dwarf got 3 Kaz, so it's that blocker.
Yeah, the second half was pretty like brutal for Trouble.
Okay, yeah, I was
he
gonna
did
say
get a lot of regions though, like
there
4
was
out of 5, I think, regions.
I was gonna say you have a lot of Kaz. You did five Kaz to him, but there's only actually 1 on the field. So you did some work on his team, but it came in the second half, and they all came back anyway. So and with dwarves, you're slow. That's kind of what dwarves are. So if you don't position super well, it can be difficult, especially with the player like that Agi5 Werewolf, who's going to have a very easy time taking advantage of any positioning mistakes you make. So that doesn't to hear that doesn't surprise me too much.
I think I took out one of the werewolves that region for the second half, but the one that was carrying the ball, I don't remember which one of them was. I think it was probably the Agi one. I could have actually like just stopped him from moving forward, and then my plan was to do like a blitz on he had the other werewolves on the back, so I was gonna blitz that guy down, and I just forgot to actually do that, and I did something else, and I was like, okay,
oops,
yeah, exactly, and then he just blitzed my Sacker Dwarf, and he got removed, so he got KO.
Well, the random zombie gets an MVP in level, so that's unfortunate because you don't really want that at this point. But Insane Dwarf leveling up from this one.
That's the important level.
Here's the story. So if everybody hasn't seen this yet, note that is a strength strength troll slayer who leveled. And if we go and click on Rage Dwarf, we can see what that level was. It is another strength. So that is a. Exactly. That is a big boy.
The story with that guy, he got injured in playoffs, and I was pretty sad. But he just had leveled into Mighty Blow, so I was like, "Oh, okay, it's playoffs. I'm gonna keep him, right?" And I decided to keep him for that. And then by the end of playoffs, he was kind of close to leveling. He got closer last week, and he was just I think 1 or 2 SPP away. I think 1. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna see what he rolls once he levels, and I'll decide if maybe I sack him because he has the armor 7. And it has actually mattered in the game that I lost in playoffs and the first week game that I played on Deep 1. So I'm like, okay, maybe I will sack him. But then he rolled strength up, so I decided to keep him.
Strength 5 Troll Slayer. Dauntless is just bloat now unless you run into like Ice Pelt or Ripper or something.
Unless I play a strength 6 Beast of Nurgle next week.
Yeah.
Which I do.
And he's going to be so hard to defend against because it's going to be hard to frenzy trap you against strength 5. He can just kind of go in. And
strength 5 and 7 guard, I think I have 1, 2. 3,
yeah, it's going to be real hard to stop him. You know, you can kind of sometimes set up to be like, if the Troll Slayer blitzes, it's going to be a 2-die into an uphill or whatever. But now you can just kind of like click somebody, and it doesn't really matter because they can't stop that. So that's fun.
I can't wait for Shadora to complain about that Dwarf.
Oh, he will. And lastly, we had the Grungy Desserts versus the Voltrex Vanguard and Ramesset. And Nurgle tied Elves 1-1. Please tell me a more unsurprising result.
I actually casted this game, but I actually forgot everything about this game.
We both predicted Stouticus because we just sort of thought he was gonna kill the elves, but he did. But if that damage doesn't, we talked about it certainly last week, but if that damage doesn't come early enough, the elves can still score. And as long as the elves have a touchdown somewhere, it's surprisingly difficult for Nurgle to score twice. You're just so slow and bad with the ball sometimes that it's hard.
If I remember from the cast, I think Stauticus was playing a little bit too safe for my liking.
Okay.
Like, but he did have like one play that was kind of weird, and then it didn't matter in the end. But then like I feel he played a little bit too safe. He was like I think he got probably overconfident because he was battering the elves to the ground. Like,
well, you got 6 KOs and 6 Cas, yeah. And the elves Ramaset had a boatload of inducements for this. We had both Moranian and Sidewinder, but Moranian got armor busted. No important injuries. There's a badly hurt on a Blitzer, which doesn't matter. There's an MNG on a Blitzer, which is annoying, but he's not dead. And then the only actual fireable offense might be that wrestle lineman, but it's not even that bad. So it could have been way worse for the Voltrex Vanguard, and they got a tie out of it. So I think that's well done to Ramaset. But I'm not terribly surprised. It's very easy for Nurgle to lose themselves the game, or at least tie themselves the game. You can remove players, but if you don't do things right,
a little bit not enough aggressive because he was getting like the positioning and removals. So he probably could have maybe like what happened with Laxar. He could have pushed a little bit harder for the win there.
Okay,
for sure.
So let's move on to let's just predict next week's games, and then we can go do Div 2.
Okay.
Cool. So we have Gourmet Governors versus the Rat Bastards. That's Luminous versus Toast Guy, which will be interesting. That'll be a fun match to watch, I think. 1720 Vamps, 1810 Rats. The Vamps, they're not missing anything important, just one Thrall. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 players. The Vamps are very good. We got plus movement on the new Vamps, so it doesn't help in terms of reroll ability skills, like reliability skills, but we're very speedy Vamps. That's 3 movement 7 vampires is more than you'd expect to have. More speed than you expect to have against Skaven.
Yeah, I think this game will probably depend of how well, which Loom is probably gonna do some good plays with Hypnogaze, but how well that actually works out, because he currently doesn't have any tackle on the team.
Yeah,
which is a little bit worrying for this matchup. Although having the speed is really nice.
It's 90k, which isn't a whole lot in terms of inducements, and I think for me it comes down to that. It's the tackle, and
the rats are really good, and they have been out removing everything.
Lumi's a good coach, and he certainly plays the vampires well. But I think if you just kind of showed me these 2 teams without telling me who the coaches were, I'd pick the rats every time. And it's only knowing, having watched Lumi play, that makes me pull it a little bit back in favor or back towards the vampires. But I think it's hard to predict anybody but the rats for this one. 2 Agi. Agi 5 rat, strength 3 gutter runner, the wrestle tackle, strip ball. Sure, the Vamps will probably do pretty well on defense, but so can the rats. The rats are going to be good at defense, and the Vamps aren't super good at offense, so I kind of like the rats for this one.
And I don't think Lumi can get a wizard unless he spends back.
No, he's got 90k in inducements, and he's only got 60. He could spend literally all of his money to get a wizard and finish $0, but I don't know if that's the right choice.
Yeah.
And then we have you versus Acropolis. So Dazed and Confused, the 1690 Nurgle versus 1940 Chorfs. Or Dwarves, not Chorfs. I'm sorry. Did not mean to insult you like that. So on the one hand, there's not a whole lot of level for the Nurgle. Pretty much anytime the Nurgle are down TV, you're sad because their inducements are awful. So, and they have to get 200k of inducements against you. So it's gonna be bribes, but they don't have a dirty player. They can't really take advantage of a wizard. However, so normally I'd probably go dwarves right away, but the thing is, he doesn't have that much in terms of skills. But what he does have in skills is just all Claw Mighty Blow, right? He's got
He has three claw mighty blows.
Yeah, 2 Nurgle warriors and 1 on a Pestigore. So that's, you know, 2.
And like I was looking at the team and like, okay, this shouldn't be that bad. I think I tied against him last season, and I like, okay, the team looks kind of like depleted still. But then I actually counted the guard. I'm like, how does this team have 5 guard?
Yeah.
What is this?
And you're also missing your sort of ball carrying runner for this game, which is a little annoying. So, I mean, normally I'd go dwarves right away, but I don't know. I just have this weird feeling that he's going to get lucky with removals.
Well, if there's something that if you were a betting man, Steak, at least you will probably check my record against Nurgle, and I have 1 single win against Nurgle.
Yeah.
On this team, I think I have 6 losses against Nurgle.
Yeah, well, with dwarves, it's so easy. Like if you lose a player, it can, like, since you're so position dependent, like losing a player makes your positioning really hard. Like for the next couple turns while you like figure out how to reposition your players. And it turns out Claw Mighty Blow is a good way to remove dwarves.
And you start pushing the Nurgle, it gets really annoying. You start getting like a stink.
Yeah, foul appearance
and being able to block them down. It can get really, really annoying to actually fight.
Yeah, so it's a weird one, right? It's a Nurgle team that doesn't have it has a good amount of guard. It's mostly, but it doesn't have a real ball carrier. It doesn't have like piling on, but it's got a lot of Claw Mighty Blow. It's got a strength 6, but you have a lot more guard.
I can win this match, but I think I have to play really well with my positioning so that I can minimize the blocks from his part.
Yeah,
if I can do that, I think I have a good shot. And if I like mess up on that side, I'm probably.
Yeah, and going first is going to make a pretty big difference too, right? Because if he goes first, he just gets 3 Claw Mighty Blow hits right away, like 2 on the LOS and 1 from a blitz. Whereas if you go first, you get to do most of a half with only 1 a turn if you play well, and then maybe you can remove some of his rotters or whatever, and then he doesn't have enough players, and he doesn't really have a ball carrier either, which you might be able to take advantage of. So like I think it's possible, but yeah, like you said, if I was a betting man and the whole point of this is we're having to predict someone, I think I would take the Nurgle, so I'm going to.
Yeah, I voted for myself because
you gotta have confidence.
Not vote for myself because I'll probably be play even worse if I do that.
So then we have the Bogue Bombers B-Dog, and we have the Voltrex Vanguard, which is Ramaset.
That already happened, I think, today.
Did it?
It was happening earlier today because I didn't vote for it.
Oh, well, I don't have it. I don't have the result up here on REBBL.net yet, so I don't know what the result is. So I don't feel too bad about predicting it. I think I predict the humans. That's what I wrote down in my sheet earlier. I mean, the humans there's a lot of tackle. There's a lot of piling on, mighty blow. Like the elves get a decent amount of inducements, like a good amount, like 400. But I don't know if what they have is going to be able to. They're going to not have much of a bench. They're missing one of their block pieces against a human team that's frankly pretty good against elves. There's the 2 movement 9 catchers. There's the 3 or the 4 blitzers are all good against elves.
And like Rama's team is not like that impressive elf team, to be honest.
Not right now. He's missing. He's got like a couple good players, but like he needs some more supporting pieces to kind of back them up a little bit. Then we have Big Chuck and Stouticus, which will also be a fun one, but it's going to be hard to predict anybody but Stouticus for this, frankly, having just seen that Big Chuck lost 2 of his Claw Mighty Blow players going up against Nurgle. So it's a Chaos team versus a Nurgle team that is 500 TV bigger than you. Like, you probably just pick the Nurgle every time.
Yeah, I think last week it would have been a closer matchup.
Yeah, but considering he's down those 2 Claw Mighty Blow, it's going to be real hard to face up to Stouticus's team there. But I would also be very unsurprised if this was the type of game that ended up just 1-1. Like, because that's how these games go. But I feel like,
it's pretty possible. It would, like, if it swings really hard on the cast side for Stouticus, it probably is going to be a win for him. But it can probably go really easily into a 1-1.
Yeah. We have Volcano from Mongoose's Loose versus Scooby and the Gang Travel Scrabble. 1830 Chorvs versus 1820 Necro. So they're dead on even in terms of inducements, which is kind of fun. So the thing I think comes down to, so we do have the new, we bought a new blocker. So he does have the full 6, considering one died last week. He's missing 2 hobgoblins, which isn't terrible, but he's
one loner.
Yeah, he's gonna have 1 loner, but exactly 11 players, which makes Chorvs a little bit more vulnerable to removals than they kind of already are. Not that the Necro are going to be super good at removing, but like, you know, the Flesh Golem or the... I mean, Muttley Jr., Strength 4, Mighty Blow, Claw can probably remove a blocker. I'd be surprised if he doesn't remove at least 1 during the game. And if he doesn't, the Hobgoblins are a pretty easy target.
What happened on that matchup last season? Looks like Trouble won.
Yeah, I think so. And
it was pretty much the same teams.
He's missing his... I think he's missing Top Cat, which was one of his better whites. But I think what I wrote down in the sheet is Scooby and the gang, and I mean, frankly, that's because most of the TV sort of on Volcano's team is the sort of 3 super killer Chorfs, and they're not like, they're gonna kill zombies, sure, but Travel Scrabble doesn't really care, and as long as he has those 2 werewolves, he can just run away, and that Agi 5 leap is gonna be hard for the Chorfs to do something to.
Yeah. At least he has the nice bull center that can like maybe chase away a little bit the wolves, but it's gonna be tough for Mongoose, this one, I believe.
I think so. I mean, he might just do Chorf things and remove the entire Necro team before the Necro can do anything. Because if the Necro run out of zombies, it's going to be hard to protect that wolf forever, but as long as that wolf is on the field, like those 2 wolves are on the field, I think that the Chorfs can't really do much.
We'll see if the region is on the side of trouble again this week.
Yeah, it might not be. So then we have Larkstar and Not for Science, Beard to Death versus Felwis Kawadadal. So 1950 Norse versus 1990 High Elves. So only 40k for the Norse, so inducements are not really a thing. This one's tough for me.
Yeah, this is a weird one to actually call.
So on the one hand, I mean, the Norse have... on the one hand, the Norse have 4-5 tackle, which is pretty significant. One of them is on a Mighty Blow piling on. They've got the block claw Mighty Blow Yeti, which is good. The Ulfs are good. The runner can keep up with some elves and do a lot of edgy sorts of things. He's got enough guard. Like it's pretty good at going after elves, but the problem is the High Elves also have a pretty good way of going after the Norse players, right? That Blitzer, Mighty Blow, piling on, tackle, jump up, Dauntless, Juggernaut, dodge. It's going to be able to do some work on Norse players, Armor 7 Norse players of his own.
Yeah.
Plus the one-turner and the sort of leap sacking threats between the leap wrestle catcher and the leap guard catcher. It's going to be interesting. Last season, the High Elves, Not for Science, won like every game. He finished top of REL 1, so it's hard to predict against him. I mean, Larkstar has had a rough. He's got a great team, but I think his record right now is 2 ties for the first 2 weeks. So
not the best start.
Yeah, not the best start so far. So I picked the High Elves because I think it's very close in a lot of ways. And just sort of based on, you know, the performance so far, right? The High Elves did amazing last season, and Larkstar's had a rough start. So that's why I picked the High Elves, but it's like, I'd be pretty happy if you told me I had to pick the Norse, frankly.
I think it's gonna depend how much pressure Larkstar can actually get into the Elves.
Yeah, for sure. And if you told me, like, you have to predict the Norse this week, I'd be like, okay, and I wouldn't be upset about that. Like, I think I could flip a coin and be happy with the result.
Yeah, I think it's probably the closest match this week, I'm guessing.
I would say so, I think. The closest in terms of hardest to predict. At least every other match has a way that's easy to, like, you know, to lean you one way or the other, but this one is hard. So that's what I predict. I told Shadora to put in predictions in the sheet just so I could talk about them, but he didn't. He's very busy at work right now. He's like working super late every day, so I don't blame him for not doing it.
What did I put down? I think I put down Larkstar, so
you did, yeah.
What happened? Yeah.
But I'm just saying I would like to tell everybody what Shadoras are like, but I can't. Anyway, so that's all of Div 1. So if we back out here, we can see how Div 1 currently looks. Recall that Secret has played an extra game, so
Yeah.
really, he's tied with Toast Guy for first right now. 2 rats at the top. But this is
I need to win. I need to win this week.
This is what Div 1 currently looks like. And in terms of the predicting competition, prepare your eyes because this is super bright for everybody. Currently in for the predicting competition for REL 1, Travel Scrabble is tied with Superfed with 7 points. Shadora's at 4. I'm at 1, which isn't great.
I'm at 0. Yes.
So we got Superfed and Travel Scrabble kind of leading the way with Div 1 predictions so far. So let's go look at 2A and how that.
I think I might be able to get more points if I actually remember to predict before games are actually played.
Yeah, so. It's the having a chance to get points is generally a good one. Although if you just don't predict anymore for the rest of the season, there's probably some people you'd finish ahead of. Namely Cheese, who is somehow negative 13, and I don't know how he's pulled that off.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's just from our stupid scoring system where we make you, because initially we hadn't planned on having like a scoring system that other people would join in on, so we made one that was like very easy to swing back and forth, so that it was like more exciting for the season, right? Mm-hmm. So you lose points when you get it wrong, and Cheese has just been wrong like every time, so he's very, very negative right now. So we had, speaking of CR Boys, who we talked about him earlier, we had Soul of Dragonfire with Marvelous Creatures versus CR Boys Nashville Nasty from CR Boys. So we had some Dark Elves versus some Necro. And let me get my predictions here. So I predicted that the Marvelous Creatures would take this. So the Dark Elves. Shadora predicted the Marvelous Creatures, and you predicted the Marvelous Creatures. And, well, we're all right. So there you go.
CR Boys plays a little bit more like a crazy type of Necro. He goes in quite hard. And his team it's still not in a. I don't think he's still in a good spot if I remember.
No, he's got a couple good players. Like one of the werewolves is good. The white is on its way. But that's pretty much it, right? There's a rookie flesh golem. There's a block flesh golem. There's a rook like just block werewolf. He did induce Count Luther von Drakenborg, which is kind of fun. You don't see that very often. And he did a number on the high or the Dark Elves. Certainly, he got 13 armor breaks that came in at 1 KO and 4 Kaz suffered for the Dark Elves. 1 badly hurt, 1 missed next game, another badly hurt, and a dead. The dead is on a rookie lineman with 0 SPP, so that's not really terrible. But we're missing one of the good blitzers for the next game, which is certainly annoying. But not terribly surprised. I mean, the Dark Elves 2-0 this, able to defend. Like, they just have some really good players, and the Necro aren't probably developed as they'd like to be. As you can see by him inducing Luther, who is very expensive.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, that choice. I guess he wanted the Hypnogaze to do some plays, but
yeah. Also, it's fun. It's cool player.
Yeah, that's true.
We had Slade, Terror Alliance versus Random Mad. Bring out your undead.
Chorf Khemri, I think.
Chorf Khemri. So it's Chorf Khemri, where the Chorfs have the best Chorf killer I've ever seen, and the Khemri don't have any Tomb Guardians that have any levels. So we unsurprisingly predicted the Chorfs, but they managed to tie. So Rand doing well there. Like, man, but that Chorf blocker got 3 Kaz. Okay. Like,
I definitely don't want this team to be on my division next season.
No, look at the Devil. I think is the best Chorf blocker we have ever seen.
Yeah, and the name is amazing too for a killer Chorf blocker.
Yeah, Claw, Mighty Blow, piling on, jump up, strength, Juggernaut. Like, oh man,
I'm a little bit disgusted right now.
It's probably the best Chorf we have seen. Is the Devil. Yeah. So, I mean, Terror Alliance getting 36 to 35 blocks, but more removals coming their way. But it looks like a lot of them got better. Like, so there were 6 KOs and 4 Kaz inflicted from the Terror Alliance, but only 1 stuck on the throw raw. Yeah, so must have
4 out of 5 regions in game,
which is good, because that could, like, if any of those were on the team, like, there's like 3 players on this team that are like kind of carrying it, right? There's a Blitz Raw, there's a Throw Raw, and there was a Tomb Guardian who had 4 levels and then died, unfortunately. Rabbit died from a failed dodge or a GFI. Oh man, like throw raw. Damn. So it would have been real unfortunate if those Kaz stuck, but thankfully they didn't. So Rand lives to go on another day.
Yeah, definitely needs more development on Tomb Guardian.
Well, he had, if you look at the start of the season, he had one Tomb Guardian with like 4 levels. That top Tomb Guardian was like Mighty Blow, Guard, Stand Firm, Break Tackle.
First game of the season.
And then he died, and then all of the other ones had 0 levels, and then the first game of the season, that Tomb Guardian died. So he had 1 Tomb Guardian with levels, and he just died game 1. And like, oh
wow,
man.
he has cycled a lot of Tomb Guardians. I feel bad for Rand.
Yeah, he's like, he really, like, the team is certainly not, like, it wouldn't be bad if he had, like, a couple more Tomb Guardian levels, but he just doesn't. So it's really unfortunate, but frankly, I think it's well done that he managed to tie that, because Slade...
that's a disgusting Chorf team, for sure.
Yeah, Slade has a gross Chorf team. So, well done to Rand for managing to tie that one, especially under the onslaught of Kaz he took. We had Ye Old Guard versus the All-Stars of Chaos, Yeo and Locust. This is Nurgle and Chaos. So let me try to remember what I had predicted here.
Playing on D1 looks so nice now that I'm looking at this Division 2 teams.
Yeah, 2 is, and 2B is almost worse.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross. Div 2 is crazy this season. So I predicted the Ye Old Guard, and I think it was basically just on the back of, like, it's a slightly bigger team. Like, you know, when you get, like, the Nurgle Chaos matchup, like, Nurgle is probably a little bit favored just because of stuff like regen. If regen works, it helps a lot. Pretty much
having the beast around,
yeah,
having the same amount of like of strength, apart from the beast.
So it's always hard to always hard to predict, but sort of like the Nurgle have like a little bit of a favor because of like the beast and the foul appearance and the regen and stuff like that might help a little bit. But they ended up tying. You know, the All-Stars of Chaos doing more blocks. That doesn't surprise me. Locust plays a very punchy style, having watched him play quite a bit. 14 armor breaks and 15 armor breaks. The Nurgle took 2 KOs and 4 Kaz, and the Chaos took 5 KOs and 4 Kaz. Some of the Nurgle Kaz got better. Unfortunately, the Beast of Nurgle is niggled, which is kind of scary, but, well, you can't really do much about that. And the other ones were just on Rotters. Who cares? I mean, it was a good Rotter. Block Guard is good, but, like, it's way better that the Rotter dies than something else.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Just badly hurts on the Chaos team. So, like, in my mind, this game was probably whoever went first, beat up the other team, scored, then their KOs came back, and then it went the other way, and the other team beat you up, and then they scored, and then we tied 1-1. As happens very often in sort of bash mirrors.
Yeah, makes sense. See. Yeah, Chaos were kind of decent. Well, some came back, some didn't, but I'm guessing that was on the 2 turns. Yeah. So probably most of them came back for Locust. So
yeah, just a game of 2 halves probably, as you see a lot with these types of matchups. So then we had Atomics versus the Horn of so the Rowdy Rebel Rousers, and Atomics versus the Horn of Gorthank by I Shoot Blanks. We predicted, like, both predicted the Rowdy Rebel Rousers, and you'd probably be crazy to do anything otherwise, because it was like 700 TV difference between a Chaos team and a Nurgle team. Like, it was crazy. Because the Chaos have a couple warriors, and that's about it. Like, there were 4 loner beastmen for this game. Like, it's a Chaos team that is in a little bit of a rough shape in terms of beastmen. Like, there's no ball.
And then the other team is disgusting still.
This is a giant gross Nurgle team. Yeah. He did induce Grashnak, which is kind of fun. You don't see that everywhere, but Grashnak is a fun player. So yeah, it's sorry.
You know what I like about Grashnak? I actually like doing ball carrying with him. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's not good, but it's funny. I like it.
I mean, he doesn't have wild animals, so you don't have to worry too much about that.
It's funny.
I mean,
a couple of times on CCO.
I've ball carried with Morg on halflings before, just because, like, would you rather carry it on a halfling?
Yeah.
And so let's see, the Nurgle, similar number of blocks, which is surprising. Nurgle got inflicted 6 KOs and 4 Kaz, whereas the Chaos inflicted 3 KOs and 2 Kaz. So, you know, the Nurgle out-removed the Chaos, and if any of those were on the Nurgle warriors, which 2 of them were,
Yeah, and what
then
got injured too, so
yeah,
that's really unfortunate.
and there's not really much the Chaos can do because their whole team is those Nurgle warriors. So losing 2 is just pretty much the game. Yeah, MNG for one of them, and then Armor Bust for another one. Which and now the Armor Bust isn't the worst injury they could get, but it's not really good because you're just so much more scared to throw them in there, especially when they're sort of the guard players.
It looks like there was also a lightning bolt, but looks like didn't really matter in the end.
Oh, there would have been because there was a ton of inducements for the Chaos, but so the Atomics takes that one. Then we had Urs versus Talk Show Terror, which we watched, so I don't need to look at that. We had Orcsploitation Cinema and Anagram Catastrophe, which is Das Schuttenheim versus Uber the Nuber. Let's see.
Uber won, but like, look at those armor breaks.
Oh, I'm about to. I just want to see who I predicted first. So we predicted the Anagram Catastrophes. I predicted Uber. Shador predicted Uber, and you predicted Uber. So there you go. But if I scroll down here, not much actually. So in terms of permanent damage,
not actual like injuries, but like 30 armor breaks for the orcs.
Yeah, the rats took 31 armor breaks.
That's a lot.
It was a lot of KOs, right? They took 7 KOs and 3 Kaz. But I only see 1 down here, so they must have had 2 Appos. Because I only actually see 1 badly hurt in the match result. But anyway, they inflicted. So the rats inflicted 2 KOs and no Kaz. So I mean, the orcs just beat rats. They beat them. They beat them so hard.
But then they just got.
Yeah. Well, we got 1 touchdown on a blitzer. So that one is probably more under control because he chose to give it to him, I would assume. And then the other one was on the gutter runner. So that's that 1 extra one. We had Glark.
Maybe actually, might actually been in a little bit of duress because he's kind of far away from actually leveling. So it's kind of weird to actually score on that guy.
Yeah, it might have been an accident, or like he had to, I guess. I imagine there was a wizard because there was Glart induced. I don't actually see it on the REBBL.net thing here, but rats with the wizard, even if they take 7 KOs, can probably turn. As long as they turn that wizard into a touchdown, they probably win.
There was a successful lightning bolt.
Yeah, so that's basically the game to me. Is you score on one drive, the orcs score on another, and then instead of letting them 2-1 grind you, you turn the wizard into a touchdown, and then you win. Because rats with the wizard and some good players to back it up with, like his strength gutter runner, his movement gutter runner, can take pretty good advantage of a wizard. So. Yeah, I imagine this will happen.
It's not the craziest rat team, but Uber plays really good. To be honest.
He's got the tools, right? It's not the craziest rat team, but he's got the Calamity Blow Blitzer. He's got a natural 1-turner, and he's got like a strength ball carrier rat, and he's got a good strip ball rat. Like the sort of the three gutter runners that have skills, and then the 1 blitzer are pretty much all you really need to make a rat team work. So.
Yeah, the base of whatever what you need to win games. Everything else is just extra.
Yeah, so I'm not too surprised by that. Then lastly we have Battle Brothers and Here We Fall. So that's Kilrick and Fall. So we had Bretts and Fall's elves. If I recall correctly, you predicted the Battle Brothers, Shador predicted the Battle Brothers, and I predicted the Battle Brothers. So everybody was all about these Bretts. And I thought it was his blitzers are really good, frankly. Like the 2 Agi blitzers are gonna make a big difference there. The strength 5 guy is pretty good, and it's nothing stupidly unfair on Fall's team. Fall's a really good coach, and he knows how to play those types of teams. But it's gonna be hard to deal with. Like those blitzers can keep up with elves, and it looks like they certainly did. Getting 3 KOs, 2 Kaz on the elves. However, they sustained 6 KOs and 1 Kaz, so the elves certainly punching back, but the injury on the Bretonians was a lineman, and the injury on the elves was the star catcher. So that makes a bit of a difference.
Yeah, probably. And it's kind of funny because humans and Brits are kind of teams that if they get some good development, they can keep up pretty well against elves. Yeah, so it makes matchups a little bit more even there.
Yeah, I find that too. Like we've been talking about it in Clan actually recently, is like, we don't really have a good anti-elf team, but like in stuff like humans or Norse or Bretts are kind of like budget options that do okay at that, just because they're fast enough to keep up with the elves, where they don't just they're not fast enough to keep up, but they're fast enough that they're not like dwarves or Nurgle or whatever, where the elves just run away and then you can't do anything. Like you can at least keep up with them a little bit to put pressure on them, and then you have enough strength access where you can get some mighty blow tackle pretty easily and make the elves have a hard time. And it's not terribly, and you have like the 2-turn options with the high movement catchers and the thrower.
You don't get out position that easily against elves.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have the agi tools, but it's harder for them to like out position you, and you have some good removal tools and stuff. So I think the Bretts do a pretty good job there, and they managed to take that one against Fall. So I'm gonna before we predict next week, I'm just gonna back out real quick because there's been no games played, so we can see what the standings are. Kael'ric currently leading 2A, tied with Atomics and Urs.
Trying to get back up to Div 1.
Yeah, Kael'ric bouncing has been a Div 2 staple for a while. Was Div 1 last season, a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, like 2-3 seasons ago.
And has been just kind of bounces around. Good start so far. Up there with Nurgle and Lizards, and then Slade currently in 4th with the 1-1. And if you close your eyes again for the brightness that's coming in, I will move over to the scoreboard briefly. So we see that in REL 2, Shadora and I are both killing it with 9 points for REL 2 specifically.
Yes.
You are
I'm not that far away.
No, you're at 5.
Because I had an amazing week.
Yayo at 7, Luminous at 6. Also got some pretty good results there. And so because of Shadora's like reasonable score in Div 1 and great score in Div 2, that currently puts him in first place overall, for those of you who are competing in both divs. I'm not too far behind at 10, tied for second with Superfed. Luminous is up there with 9. You have 5.
Yeah.
And poor Cheese somehow has managed to get negative 13. I don't know what he's doing.
I guess my strategy of forgetting to predict stuff on time has been better than Cheese's to actually predict everything. Because
well, if you don't predict, you're better than being wrong all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Shadora currently leading, but not too far ahead of me, and I feel like I don't feel too bad now, right? I was a little worried about the like prediction competition, letting everybody else in on it, because I was afraid that I was just going to get embarrassed by everybody else, and then they'd be like, "Why do we let this guy review our divs? He doesn't know anything." But I'm pretty happy that so far I'm in Shadora and I are doing well enough that I think I can justify our abilities.
Don't worry, Steak. There's still plenty of weeks for everything to go around.
That's true. That's true. All right. So lastly, we can predict next week for Div 2A. So first we have Urs, the Lachlan Longtongues, the lizards we just watched, and Marvelous Creatures, Soul of Dragon's Fire, the Dark Elves.
The Dark Elves. Okay.
Yeah. So the thing with the Dark Elves is they are missing one of their blitzers. It's a diving tackle, fend, lodge step one, which is pretty good. But it's not the worst thing in the world against the lizards to be missing. And the lizards are missing 2 Saurus, or they're missing. He bought a new one. He bought a rookie, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of his Saurus died last game, and one of his ones that got an Agi bust is out, and the movement busted skink is out as well. So he's going to be down to Saurus, and it's the Mighty Blow Break Tackle one. So his movement options are a lot more limited, and he's missing his diving tackle Skink, who is kind of his best annoying elf.
I think missing that Skink is pretty huge for this one.
Yeah, it's the sort of anti-elf Skink with the diving tackle. He is down 210 TV, so if he wanted to spend some money, I think he could get Slibly and at least give himself some Saurus, but he's got I think a lot of this is going to come down to this one Mighty Blow Tackle Saurus, and if he can do work.
If I remember, usually ours hasn't done that well against elves from past divisions.
He relies pretty heavily on his skinks and scoring quickly with them, and the elves can kind of keep up. So I predicted the elves for this one.
That way too.
So in another match that's interesting, we have Das Schuttenheim and Exploitation Cinema and the Rowdy Rebel Rousers from Atomics. We've got 2100 Nurgle and 1990 Orcs. So this is This is a 100 TV to the Orcs, and it's two big teams. So the Nurgle are missing one warrior, but it's not the Claw Warrior. It's the Block Guard Stand Firm one. So they still have 3 Claw Mighty Blow, but they are down quite a bit of strength with only 3 Nurgle Warriors, and one of them is a rookie, so he doesn't have block and can probably be pushed out of the way by the Orcs not terribly difficultly. But the ones he does have are pretty good.
Yeah, he has that troll blitzer on the Orc team too, with a strength 5.
Yeah, there's Leorc Neeson, the strength 5 strip ball, tackle, break tackle, blitzer. He is niggled though, so that's a little scary going up against the Claw Mighty Blow of the Nurgle. Yeah, so this is difficult. Normally he's like, I find this one difficult to predict because there's Leorc Neeson and there's that Agi 5 thrower who can do some silly things as well, but he's pretty slow because he's a thrower. But the Orcs have a lot of guard and strength, so they're going to outguard and outstrength the Nurgle because the Nurgle are missing a warrior. But 3 Claw Mighty Blow, the good Sacker in Bird, the Agi 4 strength 4 wrestle tackle frenzy, and the good ball carrier. Like, I think it's closer than you normally think, but yeah. It's hard.
I think this is gonna depend either on like crazy removals or just like a little bit of a better or experience, coach experience. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't really know that Schuttenheim that well. Haven't really watched his games. So I think I'm gonna go for Atomics there.
I'm going to as well, and I think it's just because I think it comes down to, like you said, removals, right? If the Nurgle get a couple removals, that's probably game. And it's not terribly difficult for him to get the removals. If he doesn't get the removals quickly, then the Orcs have a good chance at bullying the Nurgle, basically, with their strength and guard. But on average, you'd probably expect some of the removals, and the removals are going to make a big difference. So I took the Nurgle. We have Battle Brothers and Yayo, so we've got the Bretts and the Nurgle. So 1820 Bretts, really 17 something because they have 40k they can drop, so they're really at 1780. So the Nurgle are at the Nurgle get 90k, which isn't anything useful at all. They'd have to spend money to get a bribe even.
So how he has couple of 4 claw pieces, I think.
You'll guard. So there's 4 claw. However, only one of it is on tackle, and the blitzers can do a lot of work if they're left to go.
Yeah, probably peasants just bog down the rest of the team, and he can do whatever he wants. And
Fend is kind of annoying, surprisingly, against the Nurgle. And the Beast of Nurgle is out as well, which is another tool to deal with. There's like children screaming outside my window. I don't know if you can hear that. I live on the first floor of my apartment building, so sometimes there's just kids on the lawn or whatever. The Beast of Nurgle is out for Yayo as well, which I think is a tool to deal with the Bretts. And the Bretts have the strength 5 blocker, which is pretty good too.
Yeah, Cosmic is kind of nice against the Bretts, but I don't know if it's gonna be enough.
Yeah, it's it's the Mighty Blow, tackle, frenzy, but it's one player, and the rest of them don't really do anything other than being pretty good at removing peasants. So yeah, maybe you could get some removals in the peasants, but that's kind of what they're there for. And as long as Kilrick protects the blitzers, he's just gonna outspeed the Nurgle, out agi them, and then just kind of run away. Like it might be 2-1. Like it's probably going to be like a 2-1 kind of game, or maybe it's a 1-1. Because I don't know if the Bretts are going to do a great job at stopping the Nurgle from scoring, because the Nurgle, if the Bretts try to stop them, the Nurgle just beat them up with all that Claw Mighty Blow suddenly. But if the Bretts can manage to get a steal somewhere, or like the Nurgle fail a thing and the Bretts then use that agi to take advantage of it, I think that if we were allowed to predict ties according to our own rules, I'd probably predict a tie. But I think it's either going to be a tie or Kaelric is going to win because the Nurgle make a mistake and like drop the ball somewhere and then he takes advantage of it or whatever. But for the most part, I think it'd probably be a tie. So I took the Brits.
I think I'm probably also gonna take the Brits. I don't see anything like amazing from the Nurgle to actually like swing me over there. I think there's a chance that they could probably like you said get the tie, but it's gonna be tough to actually get the win for them.
I think so, yeah. We have Here We Fall, and the Terror Alliance from Slade. So we got 1650 High Elves and 1990 Chorfs with that stupid killer. And the Elves get a ton.
Why are you making me look at this team, Steak? I don't want to look at this team.
I'm sorry. Well, the High Elves are they're 1650 for this, so they get 300, so they get something, but that's 300k. You know, if you wanted to get a wizard and a bench, you only have a bench of one there. You probably want the wizard against the Chorfs. You know, you've got the thrower and you've got the strength blitzer, but that's kind of pretty much it that you have in terms of advantages over the Chorfs. And that, man, those 6 Mighty Blow Chorfs, one of them being the Claw Mighty Blow piling on strength nonsense. We've even got a strip ball on the Bull Centaur. I think it's going to be pretty hard for the High Elves unless they like. I think they could win it, right? But it's going to be that Skaven thing where like they lose all of their players and they win 2-1 because they turned a wizard into a touchdown, right? But it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be painful.
I think yeah, I'm actually gonna go for Fall here because I like him having the strength 4 blitzer. I think that probably helps him out, and Slade doesn't really have like any like good hobgoblins or like his centers are his like level up center is kind of okay, but it's nothing like anything crazy either that can deal like
that's the one the one thing Slade is missing. He doesn't have like a ball carrier.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go for the elves here because even though they're gonna be like down players and stuff like that, I think they have like the better team to actually win the game instead of like they're probably gonna get killed anyways. But
yeah, well, that's the thing. I think they can win it, but it's probably gonna kill most of them. So it depends on how hard Fall wants to go, and I don't know. And we predicted the same pretty much everywhere, so let's go differently. I'll take the Chorfs this time.
Okay. I don't actually know how Slade plays, so it also depends on the Chorf coach, right?
Yeah, that's very true, and how Fall plays as well. Fall
some Chorf coaches go really hard on like just bashing the hell out of everyone, and then some are play actually more positional wise.
Slade does quite a bit more bashing, I think, but his team is very good at that, so maybe it's not necessarily him or more not necessarily them, sorry, and more necessarily just how their team is built.
Yeah. He just deletes and forgets about it.
Yeah. Oh, and that's all they really have to do. Well, that's how their team is built, so they play that way rather than the other way around. Then we have Anagram Catastrophe, Uber the Nuber versus CR Boys Nashville Nasty. So this will be an interesting one. So the Rats against the Necro. In like a sort of I'm trying to what am I thinking of?
Movement fest or something. I don't know.
Well, didn't they just? Oh no, I was thinking the Rats just played Orcs. For some reason, I was thinking Rats played Necro recently, but it was they played Orcs. So 1700 Rats and 1410 Necro. So the Rats being up TV is a little weird.
If CR Boys goes for Mr. Bamba guy count.
Oh yes.
I think he probably won't have that good of a shot. What was he playing last?
Last week it was against
Elves.
Yeah, the Elves.
So he used him against Elves. So
he gets 300 again, or like 290. So for me, there's the one wolf, like Matt, the werewolf is Mighty Blow, block, tackle. Is going to be able to chase down rats pretty well. But one of the gutter runner that's likely to have the ball is strength 3. So unless you have another player you're willing to send in, the wolf can't do it alone because the gutter runner is strength 3. There's the natural 1-turner for the rats, and the blitzer is going to be really good at removing anybody who comes close, like the rat storm vermin. So, and I just think that the rats have a lot of tools and the necro have one, right?
Yeah.
So
if that storm vermin gets his hand on the werewolf, it's probably over for
exactly.
CR
There's a lot. Well, yeah, the rats have a lot of options, and CR Boys has one, right? It's that werewolf, and if you don't use that werewolf right, or that werewolf is, marked up and fails a dodge, or if he gets removed or whatever, then it's going to be like really hard. So
I think there's a shot for CR Boys to actually pull out the offset in this game, because I've seen him pull out offsets in this type of games, especially. But
I think it's certainly possible. Yeah, it's just going to be really hard. So since the game is pick who you think is going to win, since it's going to be hard for CR Boys, I'll take the rats.
Yeah, I'll take Uber. I also played against him before. I recapped with him before, so I think I should probably go with Uber.
And we have Our Name is Legion with Talk Show Terror versus Bring Out Your Undead, Rand the Mad. So we got 1750 Necro versus 1730 Khemri. The problem is the Khemri have no Tomb Guardians that can do anything.
But they have the body of being in there.
That's true.
Although the Necro does they do have a Tomb Guardian of their own.
Yeah, with the Flesh Golem.
Yeah.
Yeah, no inducements really for either side. In fact, Talk Show Terror is actually 30k above, so they're dead even if they drop that 30k. They're both 1730.
Actually, don't know how to call this one.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, like, once again, the werewolves are really good. It's gonna be it's gonna be hard for the Khemri to deal with. The Khemri, they kind of rely on the Tomb Guardians to do things, but the Tomb Guardians don't have that much in the way of skills. Like, initially, I just thought, oh man, he lost his Tomb Guardian. He doesn't have very much. I'm gonna take the Necro. But then looking at the teams, maybe I changed my mind. It's hard, right? It's the same thing, right? If the Tomb Guardians just get in the way, they're still doing their job here. Because there isn't really a whole lot the Necro can do about it. Like, the Khemri don't have very much guard, but neither do Necro. The Flesh Golems are pretty slow, zombies are pretty slow. I think offense is going to be very hard for both teams, right? I think both teams are going to have a really hard time scoring.
He has another white. I guess it was gone for this week.
He has two. Yeah. He must have been out for the last week. So initially I went Necro, and I'm thinking about changing my mind here. I think I'm gonna. Once again, it's one of those ones where you can flip a coin. I think I'd be happy, but I think I'm gonna stick with the Necro. I think it's gonna be hard for both teams to score if the Khemri defend well, but if that werewolf, it's all down to just movement 8, right? For me,
I don't want to pick the same as you, Steak, every time, but
that's fine.
I think the Khemri have a good shot of making it a tie.
Yeah, if I could predict a tie, I'd probably take the tie, but because werewolves exist and we have to pick a winner, I think that it's more likely that something happens that the Necro can take advantage of than the Khemri can take advantage of, if that makes sense.
Like, how many players does the Khemri have? That's 3, 6, 9, 12. They have a lot of bench though, and they have 2 dirty players. 14,
yeah. Like I said, I'd be pretty happy either way. But I think that it's on average, it's more likely that the Necro can take advantage of something that the Khemri do than the Khemri can take advantage of something that the Necro do.
Actually, I'm gonna go with the Khemri.
All right, well, there you go.
I like the other chances.
I think
this matchup specifically.
Yeah, I think they have a good shot too. It turns out I have to predict somebody because that's what the game is. And then we have a pretty easy one in my mind: the Horn of Gorthank, I Shoot Blanks versus All Stars of Chaos from Locust Croseekin. So we have 1200 Chaos versus 1930 Chaos.
Oh my god! It makes me feel bad.
So it's a Chaos team is missing 2 warriors. One of the warriors
rookie Chaos against developed Chaos, basically.
Yeah, I mean they get 730k in TV, but like that's there's only so much you can do, right? You can get like Grashnak, and he can do a thing, but you can get a wizard, but what do you do with the wizard? You don't really have a ball carrier. Like, I don't know. I feel bad for I Shoot Blanks, but this one is going to be very difficult to do much.
This is going to be a tough season for him, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's pretty much in a rebuilding season, I think, especially with how that last game went. So hopefully he survives this one and can keep going and getting some warrior development. But those are the predictions. Those are those games. I will bring up the title screen. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And it's nice to get different perspectives sometimes because, you know, I talk to Shador all the time, so it's...
Yeah, you already know what he's going to say every time.
A lot of the times you do, yeah. Well, we've been playing games together for, 15 years, so it's...
And, like, recapping, 5 seasons or 6?
5. We started in season 8 when we were in the rookie league.
Nice.
We did.
That's the season I started on REBBL.
Yeah. So I mean, I could probably go back and look. I mean, I don't remember what divisions we recapped specifically. I think they were like the bottom ones. Like what that was back when there was there wasn't A, B, C. It was like 1 through 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it was like Div 9 or something like that we recapped. One of the it was 9, one of the fresh divisions. Yeah, there you are in season 8. I brought the title screen up. Let me go back into the game real quick. I went into the archives of REBBL.net, and there you are, season 8, 9B with Ragedorf. Yeah. Taking it. I think we recapped 9C if I remember correctly, and yeah, we did C and D I think of that season. So REL, we still run Dwigs. Oh, that's fun. Didn't realize I recapped Dwiggy in the first year that we recapped.
Yeah, and he recapped me that season.
Yeah, I met him. He lives out where the head office of my company is, so I've flown out there for work before, and
nice.
I've met up with him for beers and stuff because he lives out that way. So that was fun. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, a lot of names that I remember. This is fun. And that did, but this is the first season we recapped. So we've been doing it since season 8.
So yeah. 2 years of recapping, something like that.
Yeah, plus being friends since high school,
forever,
so,
right?
Yeah, since back in high school. So it's fun to get a different perspective. But I hope everybody enjoyed the guest. Thanks for my guest for being on. We are aiming to go back to Wednesdays. My schedule has switched a little bit, so we were doing Thursdays this year because of my schedule. But Wednesdays are easier for Shadora, and my schedule has changed. So ideally, we're going to be doing these on Wednesdays starting next week going forward. So maybe we won't miss games as much. So that's nice. We can get ahead of Superfed.
Yeah. Maybe, probably.
Probably not. He'll just play on. He'll beg every week to get rolled early and play on Tuesdays now.
He's just gonna play just before the recap on a schedule 1 hour before the recap.
So that's gonna be us for week 3. We'll be back next week with that was week 2. We'll be back next week with week 3. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So thanks everybody for being here. We'll be back next week, and hope you enjoyed it. Until then, I've been Steakmittens, and
I'm Unseen Walker.
And I will see you. He might see you.
I'll be on chat, probably, if I remember about the recap, and I don't get there late.
Excellent. And I'll be back, and maybe he'll be back next week. See you later, folks.